Hello everyone, this is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Welcome to my afternoon tea time and a card, episode number 33. I'm just going to give it a little bit for everyone to find me. I can see you guys all coming on. Hello everyone. So this is afternoon tea time and a card where I host a class every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time on my Stamp and Ink Designs group. So if you guys see this on YouTube, you just need to find this group on Facebook and join us. We usually have quite a few activities going on, and I always have a monthly challenge and weekly classes. So this week, I think it was Cookie that wanted me to use the Poinsettia bundle. So I'm going to be using the Poinsettia Petals stamp set along with the Poinsettia dies. And I've already taken out the 3 dies that I'm going to be using. It's all 3 sizes of the Poinsettia flower. And I'm doing a card fold today. It's been on my list for a while and I wanted to try it, and I love this new card fold. So this is called a pop out gatefold. So you can see the gatefold is the 2 pieces where it's split down the middle and it opens on each side. But the fascinating element is the pop out part, which is on the inside. So we're gonna fold. See how it folds on the inside like that, and then it stands out, so it displays what you put on the front. And then I added some panels on the back in case somebody wanted to put a little note on the back. So that's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to do a little bit different version of it today because you can do this 2 ways. And then this is glued on half on the left. The sentiment is glued half on the right, and they kind of just interlock to keep the card closed. So let me go ahead and bring all the supplies I'm going to need. I've got the Banners Pick a Punch. I'm using Versamark ink. I'm also using gold embossing. I forgot to show you. I've got gold embossing on the poinsettia. I hope you can see how shimmery that is. So gold embossing powder. I do keep all of my embossing powders in a container so that I don't make a mess, hopefully. We'll see how that goes. So of course you're going to need the heat tool also. I have a dryer sheet only because I still have my embossing buddy, but this retired and I can't sell it to anyone. So I'm going to show you how I use a used dryer sheet in place of that. Now I've gone ahead and pre-cut some of the layers so you don't have to watch me do everything. I am going to do 3 of the flowers with you because I need 6 total, because whatever we have on the front of the card also goes on the inside. So we need 2 of everything. The circles are from the Stitch Shapes dies, the largest of the circles. So I've got 2 in Coastal Cabana. Now the color that I used on this card was the Seaside Spray, and I just thought I'd use a different color this time. I've got 4 of the gold foil holly leaves using this die. And I got 2 of the little centers, gold foil also. Oh, I almost lost one. So I'm going to try to bring those up so you guys can see. These are actually embossed. You can see the little circles that are pressed into the gold foil. There are 2 different centers with this set. So the one that I used, let me see if I can bring it up on this cardstock. The one that I use is this one that impresses the circles, and then we have one that cuts out the circles. So you can do either one. So now let me just go ahead and bring all of these in. You guys, you can see where I'm laying everything down. So if I lose something, you need to tell me where I put it, right? Okay, now lots of layers on this. So my card base is 8.5 by 5.5. We're going to do some scoring. The designer paper I'm using today is the Most Wonderful Time Medley. I'm just using this gold striped, where on this card I use the gold little stars on the background. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces measuring 5 1/4 by 1 7/8. And then we need two designer paper and 2 pieces of Whisper White. Those measure 5 1/4 by 1 1/4. And the last measurement is 2 pieces, 5 1/4 by 1 inch. And then for my sentiment, I have a Coastal Cabana that measures 4 1/4 by 1 inch. So lots of little layers. The first thing I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and do all of the poinsettia flowers with the gold embossing, just so I can get the stamping all done. I'm using the Versamark ink. I'm doing all 3 flowers, so large, medium, and small. I'm going to ink the large one upside down because it's easier when it's so large. Now the first thing I'm going to do is use the used dryer sheet. I'm going to just run it over the white cardstock. This will take all of the, if there's any static or any greasy fingerprints. It works the same way the embossing buddy would work. I'm going to go ahead and stamp my large poinsettia. Now to make sure I'm not going to overlap, I'm going to go ahead and do the embossing powder. Now you can see when I do this, it falls right back in the container. Now if you were to do this, I did bring a little paintbrush with me. If you were to do this without cutting it out, I just wanted to show you a little tip that I use. You can see that I have some right here. And I always keep a paintbrush handy. And that's where I would actually rub that out. But I am going to cut these out, so it's not a big deal. But I thought I'd mention how I always use a paintbrush. Now I'm going to do flower number 2. Bring the powder back in. And then flower number 3, and you can see I'm moving my powder over each time. I don't want to get the powder in my ink pad. And let's see if I can squeeze this in. There's my 3rd flower. If you guys have never done heat embossing before, heat embossing is like a wow thing. Because once you start heating, oh, wait a minute. I'm going to go ahead and do my sentiment also because I'm going to need to heat that up. And this is the Merry Christmas. That's going to go on my sentiment layer. I'm going to go ahead and do the powder on that also. Now I can put my ink away. And I'm also going to put the lid on my powder. If you guys happen to do this, I bet some of you have done this before. You leave the lid off and you go to bring your heat tool in and the powder just goes flying everywhere. So when I'm done with it, I always put the lid on. Now I am going to make a little bit of noise while I heat this up. And you're going to see that it's going to change. Right now it's a flat gold color. But once the heat tool melts, it's going to be so shiny and pretty. Okay, there it goes. Can you see it? It's getting all shiny and pretty on me. Yep, I can see it in the camera. So you guys should be able to see how shiny that is. And once your heat tool gets really, really hot, it's really quick. So now look at that. Look how pretty that is. We're going to do the same thing with the flowers. I'm going to try to hold it so you guys can see it actually. It's almost like it travels. And then we're going to cut these flowers out and then go ahead and do the card fold. So again, if you would have been not cutting out the poinsettias, you can see I have some powder on there. I would have used the little paintbrush to just take that powder out. So these poinsettias, when you do them gold embossed like this, you don't have to do them on white cardstock. This would be pretty on any color. Okay, so there's my embossed flowers. Look how shiny. I'm gonna bring in the die cutting machine and we're gonna cut out all 3 of the flowers. Now I am using platform number 1, platform number 2, a clear plate, which is number 3. And we're gonna go ahead and use the dies. So here's my large one. Now I did not mark these dies only because the shapes of the petals are all different. It's very easy to find the one that you need. Sometimes when the petals are close to being the same, I do use a permanent marker to mark my die so I know what direction. But you can see I can pretty much find the one that I need. Now that one's going to be too close, so I'm going to have to do that one separate. So let's see, we've got flower number 1. Oh, the other one fell and I didn't even notice. Okay, we got 1 more to cut. I'm going to do the little one. And then I'm going to show you how to do that cool card fold. Okay, so we now have 6 flowers. We got 2 of each size. So 2 small, 2 medium, and 2 large. For the sentiment, I'm using the Banner's Pick-a-Punch. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Cut this all out. I flip it over to make sure it's centered. Okay, so now my banner's all set. And I'm going to bring in the scoring tool. And we're going to go ahead and score the 8.5 by 5.5 piece of cardstock. And we're going to score at 2 1/8. For those of you guys that are not good with fractions, the 1/8 mark is the one right after the 2. 3 5/8. That one is the line right after the 1/2 inch mark. 4 7/8 is the line before the 5 inch mark. And then 6 3/8. So I'm counting 6 plus 3 lines. Now we're going to go ahead and fold. So these, the gate fold, these 2 pieces fold towards the center. So this is your gate fold part, right? And then this one is going to actually fold in the opposite direction. So you're going to have this section in the middle is going to face the front. Now let me go ahead. I'm going to bring, I almost lost my little flowers. Hold on. There we go. I'm going to bring this card in so you can see how everything is glued in place. And all of these pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and flip it over so we can do the 3 pieces on the back. So we've got the 1 inch wide piece. And that's going to go on the back. I've got some glue here I need to peel off. Then we're going to glue the 2 white pieces. So this is one of those cards that would be pretty as a display piece because of the way it opens up to reveal what's on the inside. Okay, so these are my 3 pieces in the back. Now I'm gonna, actually I need to put those, but those actually go in the front. I'm gonna keep those for last. So I just did these 3 right now. I'm gonna flip this back to the inside. You know, hold on, I ended up, I just want to refold because I ended up flipping it the wrong way. Okay. So now this is the inside. You can see that it pops upwards. We're going to use 2 of the wider pieces. So these are 1 7/8 inches wide. So 1 on each flap, on the outside right, and then 1 on the left. The next 2 are the next size. Wait, I have one missing right here. The next size over, which is your 1 1/4 inches wide. Now, one thing that I'm paying attention to here, because I'm anal that way, you guys can see the top has a gold stripe. I'm making sure that all of my tops are the same. That's just me. Some of you guys might not be as picky as I am, but I just want all of my pieces to match. See, gold up top, all the way across. Okay, we've got 1 more with that same size. And then the one in the middle is the one that's 1 inch wide. And again, I'm going to make sure my gold is at the top. Now I'm going to finish up the inside while I'm doing the inside. So I'm going to bring in one of the circles. I'm going to add adhesive to the middle only because we don't want this to be glued down. We want this to be loose. So there's my glue down the middle. I'm going to bring this about 1 inch from the top. And then because the flowers sit on the inside, you want your card to fold flat. So all of these layers are folded flat, where all of the layers on the front, I use Stampin' Dimensionals. So I'm going to bring in 1 of each size of my flowers, 2 leaves, 2 holly leaves, and then the center. Liquid glue. And that's going to go right in the middle of my circle. Let me just move that up a little so you guys can see. Here's my next one, the middle, the medium sized, and I'm going to stagger the petals. Here's my 3rd one. And again, I'm gluing everything flat because it needs to be flat so that the card ends up folding flat. I'm going to add a little bit of glue in the middle to add one of my centers. And then I'm just going to take my gold leaves, put glue on the tip, because it is going to stick out. So you have to be careful that you don't add glue too far out. And all I'm going to do with that is tuck it in. Okay, so there's my inside. Isn't that pretty? And you can see that it moves about when you open and close it. Now we're going to move over to the front. Now I wanted to do this one a little different to give you guys 2 options. So you can do it this way where everything is glued to the front. Let me fold this closed. I'm going to go ahead and add the designer paper first. So these are the 2 remaining 1 7/8 inches wide designer paper. And if you're tuning in late, all of the measurements are at the beginning of the video. And I will list them. I'll go update the post once the video is done and have all the measurements for you. Okay, we need the gold at the top. Okay, so there's my gatefold. What I want to do differently this time, I'm going to bring in a belly band. I'm going to add a belly band so that this piece is not going to be glued to the front. It's going to move up. And this is 11 inches by 2 inches. I'm going to actually place it on the back. I'm not even going to score. I'm going to eyeball this. press that in place. Make sure it's loose so that it can go up and down. So you can see now that it will move up and down. And I am going to trim that just a tad. I'm going to take out about a 1/2 inch. I'm going to add some glue and press that in place. And then I'm going to glue my circle by adding glue in the center. So both ways, if you want to do the belly band or if you want to do it with the circle stuck to the front, just remember when you're gluing it to the front, you only glue half of your circle. Okay, now we're going to add our flower and leaves. And all of that is going to be glued in place with dimensionals. I'm going to do a lot of dimensionals because I want these flowers to really pop. So I added one to each petal. Oh, I can see a lot of hearts going by. You guys like this card. I'm so happy to see that you like this card. Okay, that's going to go right in the center. This time I'm just going to add a dimensional to the center of both of these flowers. Again, I'm going to stagger the petals on both flowers. So look at the height. Look how pretty that is. And then we need to add the center. I'm going to add glue. Now this leaf, you guys, I ran out of gold foil and I got all of this ready. So this leaf has a chunk missing because I was really short on gold foil. I actually have some on order that arrived today, but I didn't want to chance it. This is going to be tucked under anyway. Even though there's a little chunk missing, you won't even see it. Okay, so there's my belly band. So you can see this one slides up and down. We are going to glue the sentiment. So when the recipient would have to go upwards to remove the belly band. So let me go ahead and add adhesive only to half of the banner. We're going to add that right here. And there's card number 2 with a different option. So let me just review. Card number 1, the flower and circle is glued to the front with the sentiment. Just remember the sentiment is glued to the right. The circle is glued to the left so you can open to reveal the inside of your card. There's the back, so you can do a little bit of signing or a slim sentiment. And this is what it looks like when it's displayed and sitting on a counter. And then this one is the same exact card, but except we put it on a belly band, and that we can remove the belly band and open up to reveal the inside. And again, it folds the same way so you can stand it up. So there's your choices. You guys have 2 choices to make one of these cards, and I will update you with all the sizes that I used today. So thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed my 2 cards, and I will see you guys again next week with a new project. Thanks for joining me.